Last time we explored the Orre region and it was certainly a place in the Pokemon world. Yeah, I think Orre isn't exactly the best place to live. I even think it might be the worst one, all games included. Today we tackle the second region our little guys and I went through, which is the exact opposite. This is the Hoenn region, the one that was home to at the very least a quarter of my childhood. They say a Pokemon player's favorite region is often the first one they've played, and well, it's not exactly true, but it's not exactly untrue neither. See, my first Pokemon game was Blue, but Yellow is the one I've played more extensively. Then, my sister lent me her copy of Crystal, but I only had a Game Boy Pocket, so couldn't do anything out of it. So my little ass went to the family's computer and made a new friend, Visual Boy Advance. Yeah, my family was too poor to actually afford the GBA in the game, and I had no morality, I was just a little kid. With it, I played and completed Sapphire and then Emerald. I did play Leaf Green afterwards and beat that one too, but games in the Hoenn region I'd come back to again and again and again. Of course, that means I have an obvious bias for this region, I'm well aware of that, but I hope it doesn't ruin my little PowerPoint slider for you. There's also this region's remake, which I've debated putting this video or another one, and I think we'll tackle it kind of today, but also maybe in another one, so I've not exactly decided, I'll just kind of do both. I've also put tons of hours into Alpha Sapphire. It's a pretty fun remake. It has flaws, but also major glow-ups across the boards, including one that is very relevant to both me and our little journey here. When it comes to the Hoenn region, there's one thing that's particularly iconic, let's say. Water. And famously, this region features a decent little pool for you to traverse through. I never thought it was such a big deal, but you have to consider two things. One, I thought surf was one of the funniest things as a kid. It was literally mind-blowing to my little self back then. Two, I must consistently pick the water-type starters, especially at this point in time where the Mudkip line started implanting itself in my brain, so I never had any struggles finding a surf user. And three, places you get to going through said water routes are pretty neat. This is now the part where I'll arbitrarily list places and activities I love in the Hoenn region. I hope I don't get any names wrong, I mostly play these games in French. Petalburg City is a comfy little town, nothing too important. Somehow it always stays a bit at the back of my brain though, probably because it's the start of an adventure I've been on many times. It's also where you meet two pretty important characters in the game, and you have to come back to it during the mid-game, so yeah, that's actually probably why it's always in my brain. Rustborough City is a larger one, and what I really love about it is how those stony bricks are layered all around. Kinda makes me think of all of the older towns here in France. I think it has a certain charm I really appreciate. Slateport City, I fucking love port towns in Pokemon. I don't even know why, there's just something so pleasant about vibing in them. Maybe my brain was shaped by the SSN, I don't know. There's an outside market too, which is a bit of a familiar sight. They're always fun to walk through. And there's even a museum dedicated to Hoenn's aquatic wildlife and crafts, and I think that's cool. Fortress City is a place where people live in tree houses and get around on those bridges between the trees. And oh my god, I love how it looks. I mean, hell, they live close enough to nature that sometimes nature just comes to visit. It's one of the only towns in Pokemon I can remember where wild Pokemon just chill there. Lillicov City, this is this gigantic ass department store, there's a port, hooray, there's a contest facility, and a boat to the Battle Frontier. More on those later. The Safari Zone is near, and this is also the location of one of the game's bad guys teams, so you got plenty of stuff to do here. They're not necessarily tied with battle, which is a plus, and it's a seaside town, it's pretty, that's really neat. Pacific Log is located right in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. It's a silly little village built on rafts and various logs, and that's pretty much it. I think it looks beautiful, but there's not much to do here. There's also 3 landmarks that aren't towns I want to talk about. Mount Chimney is this large volcano the teams are trying to either control in the originals or use to forge megastones for their legendaries in the remakes. It has a memorable little moment in the story of both teams fight and just come and slap the both of them silly. For the 2 other locations, they touch on characters I'll yap about in a few minutes, but we can introduce them right now at least. The Draconid are an ancient tribe in Hoenn that reversed Rayquaza after he saved the region from massive destruction due to the whole primal fight between Kyogre and Groudon. They used to live in Meteor Falls, a large cave with a, you guessed it, waterfall traversing it. They were the people praying to Rayquaza for salvation, and their prayers made it Mega Evolve for the first time. After that, they built the Sky Pillar, a giant tower reaching the skies, both in its honor, and so they could get closer to him should they ever need to ask for his help again. I am in love with all the Draconid lore, admittedly, and I just love historically charged locations like this in my Pokemon. I love going into a place and just feeling like, wow, this place was before my adventure, this isn't just a stage for me to have Pokemon battles in. This is an important place. This is an actual important place, and I can feel it. I love that. Admittedly, there's also this one anime of the web series. I think it's Pokemon Generations or Evolutions, one of the two. It shows Zinnia narrating the story of the Draconids and Rayquaza, and yeah, it made me love it real much. Also, the Zinnia looks nice. Yeah, this is such a nice art style. Oh, also, Very Down Turf, that's a weird name, and Lava Ridge Town are just nice to live in. I just want to go there. Okay, now we've got to touch on a few side activities you can do in some of these locations. Contests, halls. Oh my god, I love contests. I always have, even when I was a wee lass, and I was super bad at them. Any activity in a Pokemon game that manages to repurpose battle mechanics into something else gets my immediate attention. Now, for those who don't know about contests, let me give you a quick rundown. Contests are an activity in specific Pokemon games that both has nothing to do and everything to do with battles. You get a different set of stats you can raise via berries. Berries, I forgot that's also something. Okay, so welcome to Diatribes within Diatribes. Let's talk about berries real quick. Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby introduced something new to this series, Smoothies. Using the berries you found on your adventure, you can use some Pokeblocks to raise the contest stats. The quality and the stats depend on which berries you do and how good you did at the minigames, and if you want an overly long trip into this guy's done it better than I ever could, and it's a fun watch, you should go watch it. Anyway, once that's done, you can enter in a contest. You face off against 3 other trainer Pokemon pairs, and first the jury judges you on your stats, which can give you one hell of a head start. The already won kind of head start. After that, the contest phase starts proper. Every move in your moveset gets a new type that is linked to those new contest stats I've talked about, as well as a new effect. You have to wow judges with your performance or sabotage the others. Again, it varies depending on the game, but that's the basic framework, and boy, I love it. It's one of my favorite side activities in Pokemon. There's definitely a timeline where I'm Pokemon coordinator or performer, is all I'm saying. And finally, the Battle Frontier. I don't like it very much. Okay, I'm not gonna make a lot of friends with this one, I know. A lot of people love it. Heck, a common critique of Orre's is that it's lacking this very facility which was introduced in Emerald, implemented in Platinum as well as Heart Gold and Soul Silver before being replaced with various regional battle tower only replacement in later games. Here's the thing, the Battle Frontier is cool. It really is. When it comes to battle facilities, recent games only include the get a succession of battles mode and not much else. The Battle Frontier had this, but it also had many other things going on. You had the Battle Tower, which is like any other battle facility ever, just fight a bunch of guys in the format of your choice. The Battle Factory, where you have to use rental Pokemon in battles. You get told some information about the incoming trainer, and you get to keep 1 month from the trainer you defeated just before. The Battle Dome has you scout the enemy team the same way, and then you have to pick 2 of your free Pokemons to battle using the information you got. The Battle Arena, where Pokemons are ranked depending on battle performance, like HP remaining at the end of battle, accuracy, super effectiveness of the moves, etc. The Battle Pike is a dungeon? I guess it is. There's some different types of rooms there, and you have to go through them all, surviving different types of encounters. The Battle Pyramid is also kind of a dungeon, shrouded in darkness, where you try to navigate around trainers and want Pokemon to exit the floors. A bit of a mystery dungeon, that's fun. And finally, the Battle Palace, which is an absolute mess for Pokemon battle on their own, which depends on their nature, moveset, and whether the HP is low or not. This is definitely the worst offender in terms of ease of understanding. It's very fun, but it's a mess. Here's the thing. The Battle Frontier was kind of implemented like ass. Do a little time travel in your mind and go back to your days on the Game Boy Advance, or the DS if it was more your gen. How accessible were deep information on how Pokemon games worked to you? Cause you're certainly gonna count on the game to educate you. The Battle Frontier is an inexplicably high difficulty spikes that not a lot prepares you for, and you might not even properly learn the right lessons from getting your ass kicked over and over again. Note some of the special rules in the Battle Frontier you've seen before you've participated in Battle Tents, which are smaller battle facilities in some of the Hoenn places. I think that's smart, and I don't really remember Platinum and Heart Gold or Soul Silver doing this. But even if you went there, you do 3 battles there and you might win on accident. You still don't really get a sense on how things work, what's good, what's bad, and how it truly is different from the casual battling of the story mode. Ideally, I think the place should serve as a bridge into competitive Pokemon. Not quite as hard as online battles and tournaments, but definitely more aligned with them in difficulty, and most importantly, it should actually teach you things about it. How sad is it that Stadium 2 does a better job at preparing you for it than the Battle Frontier? Don't get me wrong, I'd also love it if it made a return, and the ease of information from external sources has also definitely increased since it was discarded, but I feel like it would need a bit of rework to fulfill that purpose. In the meanwhile, I'd at least like if we got something like the Pokemon World Tournament again. It was a nice compromise in my humble opinion. Okay, I have bashed your head in with my talk about every location that was important to me. Now, I'm gonna bash it again, but about the characters this time. There's actually quite a decent batch of characters I like or straight love in the Hoenn region. Let's give them all a fair look. First, your dad. Okay, that's gonna sound silly, but I love the fact we have an actual father in this game. Truly, video games appeal to my darkest fantasies. Norman being the gym leader of the mandatory town you visit early, but whose gym you can't visit until way later town is actually kind of a genius. This way you meet him once, kinda catch up with him, call him over the phone if you're that kind of guy, and then you meet him a second time, this time to punch him in the face. He also tells you to give a tutorial to the little kid named Wally, aka my icon. Wally is a tiny, immunocompromised child that wants to spread his wings and explore the world. He's in town with some family that aren't his parents, as this place has cleaner air, which helps with his health. Everyone is concerned with letting him go on his adventure, but there's a bit of a silent understanding that he hasn't exactly had any chance to spread his wings or even just discover the world around him very much. Now, I'm gonna sound very superficial, but I do prefer the way his stories handle this horror. The changes are almost only in presentation and in-game theme rather than the story itself, but hey, it's good. I always loved Wily, especially since, you know, I was a pretty sickly child myself, staying inside and playing video games while my little body was busy dying. He's also a funny implementation of the rival concept. See, you're his rival, but it doesn't exactly go both ways. He looks up to you, he definitely wants to surpass you, but it's also made clear by the amount of times you encounter him and the level difference in them, until basically the Victory Road fight, that he's not pushing you against the wall at all, even if he displays a lot of progress. And well, while I love the Hoenn rival designs, which also start the trend of having the protag you didn't choose being your rival, I also think they don't really do a good job motivating you to do better and beat them. A lot of people seem to think you need to have an absolute asshole of a rival to fill that role, but that's not exactly true. You can have a rival that's cordial to you but still trying to push you to your limits. Anyway. Tate and Liza are cool conceptually. See, Orre is the region that introduced double battles, so get to have a double gym leader battle with those psychic twins. That's nice. Wallace has a cool design, and while I can't speak much to his characters in the games, he's notable for two things in my little head. His appearance in the anime, God knows why. The fact he was a sort of final boss for the contest was cool to me, and, you know, made sense. And with Iris, he has the very unique position of someone who became champion after being a gym leader. In Sapphire and Ruby, he's a gym leader. In Emerald, he's a champion. And now he's back to being a gym leader in Orre, as you actually see him having a conversation with Steven that leads to him taking the champion position in the future. And Wallace is linked to like a lot of characters in the lore. I never noticed it as a kid, but it's only recently that I thought about it. Juan? I don't know. He's the gym leader of Sutopolis in Wallace's stead in Emerald, and he was actually his mentor before. He retired when Wallace took over the gym, but as the latter is going for Steven as the champion, he covers for Wallace as the gym leader. Next one is crazy to me. Did you know Lucia is Wallace's niece? I never knew until I researched her a little bit to fact check some things. Anyway, she's a bit of a contest-obsessed dumbass, but I kinda loved her regardless. Maybe because I'm also a contest-obsessed dumbass. I also like her design! I would steal that. And finally, Wallace seems to be like really close with Steven. Close enough for Steven to be a bit sad if you pretend you don't remember Wallace during the Delta episode of Orre. Now, Steven is also a character I really love. He's probably my favorite champion in all games so far. He's a bit proper, quite polite, but he also has some bite, as we see when he helps you fight Team Aqua and Magua when he confronts Xenia. He's also very normal about rocks, and definitely has no hyperfocus, and definitely isn't acoustic. Him and Wallace have that kind of friends who tease each other but has each other's back no matter what kind of vibe, and you know, I like seeing them interact. Steven has a dad which is basically the richest man in the region. Their relationship seems a bit strained though, this is why I trust him. Also, shout out to Steven being the first trainer I ever do a double battle with in Pokemon history. At a point where the mechanic was so unpolished, you had to pick 3 mons, and Steven also did, so you could form a team of 6 together instead of each bringing your team of 6. Anyway, Steven good, me like Steven. One of Owen's particularities is that it has 2 evil teams, Team Aqua, which fights for sea supremacy, and Team Magma, which fights for land supremacy. They're both dumb. They're 2 groups of people who fed biology classes and led by Archie for Team Aqua and Maxie for Team Magma, and boy do I refuse to acknowledge their Gen 3 designs. Maxie's Gen 3 design isn't that bad, just worse than Gen 6, but boy does Archie's make me suffer. Orre's Archie's design is so good and so much better, it kind of made me think in my brain it was always what he looks like, and Yeah, no. It especially hurt me in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which has Archie come back, but Gen 3 Archie specifically. Man, that was a jump scare. And finally, Xenia. What can I say about Xenia without sounding like a complete dork? I love Xenia. I always had ever since I played the Delta episode for the first time. Something about her and what she represented deeply marked me, if that makes sense. She's someone that desperately needs help and also immensely refuses it, veiling herself in a playful personality while tackling immense responsibilities. When she lets her guard off though, she can absolutely be intense, if not just outright feral. The Dracolid's lore is also so interesting. An ancient tribe in Hoenn which is deeply linked to Rayquaza and holds the oldest knowledge available about him, including how he first got evolved with the wishes of the people to be saved with Primal Cargo and Groudon, and also a healthy snack of a lot of space rocks. Needless to say, I looked up to her a lot, and anything that I do Pokemon-wise is forever tainted by her presence. Sorry in advance. Now, Hoenn also has some of my favorite Pokemon. I actually ran the math. Out of 135 Pokemon, 3 are among my faves, 4 if you nice and count Gardevoir and Ogrelade here. As I said before, I can't really properly decide between Gardevoir and Glade. It really depends on whether I don't know. I can't. I love them both. Now, a whopping 75, I really like strongly. Talking about Pokemon like Metagross, Flygon, pretty much every form of the starter Pokemons. Jirachi, my main man Jirachi. Really beloved creatures, all in all. Those are the Pokemon that I really love. That could be fave material. Just short of being fave material. And 56, I have normal feelings about. Not obsessed, not in love. They're sure hot Pokemon. Overall, pretty good stats. I'm not sure whether there's a dex I like that strongly. Maybe Alola? Maybe Callus? I guess we'll see later. I want to take a moment to talk about the sprites too, because Gen 3 sprites have a charm I really like. Gen 1 sprites are funky, Gen 2 sprites are a bit more clear, and both of these have plenty of charm. But I have a soft spot for the Gen 3 GBA aesthetic. I know, I'm biased. Yeah, there's a vibe that really makes me happy. Speaking of Gen 3 specific things, the music. Yeah, good old trumpets everywhere. This is what I need in life. There's a lot of themes I really like in this gen. They're basically always playing at the back of my head if nothing else is going on there. That happens fairly often. Even just the basic wild Pokemon battle theme is super iconic to me. So much so that I really like a lot of these tracks renditions in Orre's, even if most of them are either trumpetless or the trumpet only kicks in during certain sections of the song. It also adds a few themes I love. Wally's is extremely nice despite being too short, and Xenia's is literally my favorite track. My favorite track in all of Pokemon. Predictable, I know, I'm a fangirl, but I can owe up to it. Heartbreaking, but I also have to shout out Pokemon Masters for its rendition of Xenia's theme. It mixes the Gen 3 trainer theme with her Aura's theme, and I think it makes a ton of sense. It also is so nice. Yeah, I'm stealing it. It's my theme now, deal with it. I think those sum up all my thoughts towards Hoenn. It's a region I deeply love, and I've visited so many times as a child. Thank God I'm not trying to do an objective review of these regions or something, because it'd be very hard for Hoenn. I just have so many memories and good vibe of Hoenn. I'm just such a hoe. Now, like last time, I'm gonna talk about what I'm going to steal here for my little creative endeavor and one of my little guys. First off, I'm sorry if it's cringe, but I'm stealing the Dracolid lore. Blood thinks they're part of the team, and boy, they're gonna fake it until they make it. Second off, a part of episode Delta I really liked in Orre's is how Xenia is trying to protect Gen 3 Hoenn at the same time as Gen 6 Hoenn. The scientists at Devon Corporation did have a solution to protect the latter, but they would have destroyed the former. That is so cool to my eyes. But considering I'm following through games, accomplishing that as someone who actually comes from Gen 3 Hoenn, I think that's close. I like that idea. Now I'm gonna yell about my baby boy turned big ass frog, Boo Boo. The name is taken from Mudkip's French name Gobu, and boy do I love this Goober. Oh my god, I just realized Gobu and Goober sound so similar. What the fuck? Oh my god, it was canon. Seriously, the Mudkip line is so lovely and silly. Just look at these fellas. Mudkip is such a little guy. I'm sure there are no thoughts behind those eyes, and he's lovely for it. He's so cute. Swampert is such a friendly big guy. I know he's not like conventional cute, but he's just such a cute little frog. Seriously, he looks like he'd love nothing more than hugs and splashing around muddy water, and I say good for him. Marshtomp is unique. First off, he's the only one that always stays bipedal. Mudkip is strictly on his fours. Swampert sometimes stands up, but he's always hunched over a little bit. Marshtomp is standing, just straight up standing. Second off, god does he star signal I burned cards to demand more puffins. I love him, but he's a threat to society, I've gotta be honest. I also love official illustrations where he's just like staring at the camera. They're playing on it, I'm sure they know about it. He's my Emerald starter, so I don't exactly draw him for design specifics. He's basic, and I love him for it. Much like King DDD, the Mudkip line is already perfect. That's pretty much it for our Oven adventures. Next time around, we'll leave the waters of Gen 3 to enter Gen 4, the glorious DS. Yeah, I didn't do a Leaf Green run. Most notably because buying a cartridge of Emerald ran me dry already, and I did not want to figure out how to recognize fake Leaf Green cartridges. See, Emerald has those clear cartridges which make it easy to recognize certain parts of the circuit, but for Leaf Green, I have no idea how you're supposed to do it. I also wanted to traverse each region only once if I could help it, notwithstanding games I never played before like the Orre and Orre games. And, well, Kanto is part of Gen 4's Johto games, even if Kanto and Johto based games is a bit of a different beast, but honestly, I think it's Kanto's most interesting form, at least from the POV of someone trying to do what I'm doing here, which is build a story by traversing Pokemon games, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, yapping a lot here for an outro. Just see you later.